back and welcome to another What I'm Currently Reading video. This is my weekly check-in to say that I've finally started a book that I know is going to take me ages, but I'm going to do my best to finish. And that is Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson, the fourth book in his Stormlight Archive series. I read 130 pages, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it feels like a lot. And I'm trying to make my way through this 1,200 page book because the newest in his series is coming out in December. So I'm well on the way in my reread. And I'm reading this physically, which concerns me because I'm like, will I read this fast enough if I read the book? Or should I switch over to the audiobook? So I'm a little bit undecided at the moment. I'll see how I go reading it physically because there are a few audiobooks that I want to listen to. So if I can listen to those instead and then focus my physical reading time on Rhythm of War, that would be amazing, because if I just read Rhythm of War, it doesn't feel like I'm doing a lot, I guess. I want to read multiple things at the same time. I want to finish things in quick succession, and reading a book this long, that's not really a possibility. So that is what I'm aiming to do, read this physically, and then I've got the few audiobooks that I mentioned. So I'm still reading The House Witch Volume 3, and I've got an hour and a half left. So hopefully, all things going well, I finish that super fast. It's a cozy fantasy. We've just passed the pinnacle of the story. I think I'm almost pretty much at the epilogue of the story. There's been reveals, there's been momentum. There was something that happened in the plot that I didn't really enjoy, given that it's a cozy fantasy. But anyway, and then after that, I'm excited to read some audiobooks on Audible because Audible had a deal and it was $3 a month for 3 months or something. After that, I'll cancel because audiobooks are expensive. But while it's active, I realized that these were included in the subscription, and that was Witches Get Stuff Done, which I talked about, I think, in my October TBR, because I thought my library had the audiobook, but it didn't. It didn't even have the ebook because it's on Notify Me, so the library will tell me when it comes in and they get a license for it, but at the moment they don't have it, so I got all twisted around on that one. But Audible has it, and so I can listen to that. It's about 8 hours, and it's, I think, a witchy romance. I think this witch doesn't really know her magic very well, joins a coven to try and learn magic, and there is a romance with one of the guys. I'm keen to give it a try. Witchy romances can be really fun if they're done well, so that is why I downloaded it. And then the other one that I downloaded is Smash and Grab. And I'm just going to read you the summary because it's outlandish, but I think it's going to be fun. And it says, my standard issued lab badge reads Simon, but it really should say unexciting nerd with no social life. Don't get me wrong, I love what I do with a passion, but it doesn't have a lot of time for much else, especially romance. While chipping away at my work, I'm suddenly the person between a hired cartel muscle and the fossil that will define my career, which isn't the most insane part of the story. My saviour is a chaotic, bat-wielding punk with a bubblegum pink mohawk and a killer smile. In a mad dash to escape the thieves, my knight in studded armour sweeps me across the country while hitting every tourist trap along the way, while smuggling a fossil, I might add. Oh, and did I mention this pink punk can shift into a dinosaur? Is this a dinosaur shifter romance with mature themes? Probably. Am I going to try it anyway? Yes, because I want to read more dinosaur-themed content, especially with the dinosaur shifter. That sounds so much fun. So this just popped up and I've had my eye on it for a while. I think the audiobook is 5 hours and I'm just really excited about it. So I need to give it a try. It could be Manic Pixie Dream Girl outlandish, or it could actually be goofy and fun. And I'm really hoping it's goofy and fun rather than edgy and Magic Pixie Dream Girl. We'll see what happens. I'll report back to see if I like it or not, assuming I get to it and I don't switch to Rhythm of War. So my reading is a little bit juggled because everything depends on my reread of Rhythm of War at the moment. I'm definitely running out of time, but I'm still enjoying myself. I've already got quotes written down for Rhythm of War as I'm reading. So I'm having fun, and I think that's the main goal, right? So I will check in with you later in the week and let you know what my reading got to. I can't believe how quickly the end of the week keeps rolling around. Anyway, I actually had a pretty successful week. I finished 2 books. So I finished the third House Witch book. Finally, it feels like it's taken me forever to finish that. And I think that's because, I gave it a 3 stars. It was enjoyable, but to a certain point, it felt like it kept dragging the point further and further along. Like the plot just kept going and the pace didn't seem to match that. When I thought a pinnacle had happened, it then continued on to something else. So it just felt like the last book, or the last 2 books in that series, it went from cozy fantasy into something else because it was talking about a war in this world and how Finn, who is supposed to be this cook for the king and queen, he's now got these house witch powers. Like the cozier it is, the more powerful he is, basically. So the more trust he fosters, the more his powers emerge. And because he was getting more and more powerful, he was then having a pinnacle part in this war. And it felt disingenuous against the first book, which was only just setting up this cozy kitchen, it changed a lot. And I went into it for the cozy fantasy aspect, which is taking very much that backseat and not being in the forefront of the action. So there were pieces of this story that I liked, but it was mostly in that interaction of the characters we were initially introduced to, but it brought in a lot of other factors. And like I said, something at the end of this book happened that I did not like at all, because it really just went against the whole cozy fantasy vibe in general. And it also seemed unnecessary. It's like getting rid of something to further the other characters in the narrative. So it didn't feel quite right to me. So I gave it a 3. I'm relieved that I finished it. I enjoyed it for what it was at like the core of it, but not exactly where the story went. So at least I finished a series. I also started and finished Smash and Grab, which was a 5-hour audiobook. And I talked about the synopsis earlier, but I want to say that it was fast-paced. It had a couple of spicy scenes in there, the classic only one bed trope as well, and that forced proximity. And the main character, Simon, is an archaeologist, and he very much gets taken by this contractor who is the pink mohawk guy. It's a male-male romance, so no manic pixie dream girl vibe at all. It was a solid male-male romance, which I enjoyed. And this contractor takes Simon along on the road with the fossil that Simon will have his career defined by, and they're being chased by these goons. But the organization that the pink mohawk guy is contracting for protects artifacts and returns them to the rightful countries and the rightful owners. So he's taken Simon very much under his wing, and they are going almost on a road trip of sorts, but at the same time staying out of the awareness of the goons that are chasing them. And then obviously, because they're on their road trip, they're in a car, they're in hotel rooms, they're in that forced proximity and that company together. So naturally they form a connection, they form a romance, they have a related interest in dinosaurs, because obviously the pink mohawk guy is a dinosaur shapeshifter into a raptor, and Simon is an archaeologist, and so that's how they connect. And I liked their relationship. I like the physical descriptions of their romance as well. I like the tension. I feel like because it was such a short book, that the pinnacle of the tension and the fallout of that action that usually happens in like that third act, it felt very quick to say I love you, given that they'd only known each other just over a week. So that felt a little bit like, oh, you didn't necessarily have to include that, and I would have loved it just as much. But overall, I enjoyed it. It was a great time. I finished it in like a day and a half. So happy that I had that to finish, because that means that I've completed my 65 books for the year. Like, that's my reading goal. So I'm done. So then Rhythm of War is just an extra, which is hilarious given that my extra is 1,300 pages. Anyway, I've read more of this. So I'm now 29% into it, which is the equivalent to almost 400 pages. And I'm making progress on it, but not as fast as I would like. I kind of expected that though, because obviously it is so large that it's hard to make headway in quickly. But this is the equivalent of what I've read to a book. So I've done an okay job. To finish an audiobook, to finish another audiobook, and to read the equivalent of one paperback book in a week, like, that's still a lot of reading, but it's not quite enough to get through Rhythm of War, because this is a beast. I've still got this much to go, which is a significant amount, but I'm hoping that before the end of the month I can wrap this up. So we'll see how that high achieving plan works out. I'm sure this will be in a couple more what I'm reading right now videos, but if you enjoyed this video, or if you want to talk about what you're reading, if you've read any of these or they're on your to be read pile, please like and subscribe. Let me know down below in the comments what you're reading. I would love to know. But thank you so much for watching this video. I'll come chat to you down below in the comments, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.